Happy New Year, it's Brad from KickstartPPC, and in this video we're going to be showing you what you need to do to kick off the new year in the right way. So let's jump straight into it. With it being a new year, it's always good to go through things and look at where you can improve based on last year. So let me show you some of the things that I would recommend going through, particularly as it's a new year, and especially if you haven't in the previous year. Firstly, I would look through your catalog. Make sure everything is in order, it's as organized as possible. So that means going through all products, look at what's performing, what isn't, and also eliminate products that potentially aren't a good fit for your brand anymore. There are FBA fees coming up with increased costs, especially in the next couple of months. So you do want to make sure that things are in order and you aren't going to get hit even further when those FBA fees come in place. You also want to look at where your variations are. Do they make sense in terms of the customer side? So if a customer goes on your listing, is it all going to make sense? Are the variations labeled correctly? And for a business owner, if you look in your catalog, is everything makes sense? Is it laid out well? Well, if it isn't, definitely have a look. You wouldn't believe how many catalogs we've seen as an agency owner that are all over the place. So having a good catalog makes things a lot easier for you, makes things easier for Amazon agency owners as well if they're trying to help on the PPC. As if you don't know what's there and you don't know where everything fits, it's hard to run the right ads and target the right products. So next, you want to make sure your pricing is in place, particularly as you have these FBA fee increases coming up. You want to make sure you're priced high enough, you're not undercutting yourself, so when those do come in place, you're not going to be really losing money. So check all your prices, and particularly important if you have a massive SKU list. You also get familiar with the fee increases. So these are things such as, fees for less than 28 days of inventory, placement fees, FBA storage fees. So check that all out. We do have a video on this, so check it out below, particularly if you aren't familiar yet. Now, next, look at what listings are optimized. So go through your title, bullet points, descriptions, make sure they're up to date. If they aren't up to date, just go ahead and either update them via ChatGPT. It's an easy way to do it, or just spend the time and go through it yourself. Add in keywords that potentially could be beneficial to have. So all of this is pretty important. It's all about the off for the customer. For the back end, check in the back end SEO's up to date. Keywords change from time to time. Something that might have performed 2 years ago might not be performing now. So go ahead and update the back-end SEO. Alt text, same thing there. If you've had A+ content up for a long time, check over your alt text and make sure that you're not missing anything. Now, A+ content premium, this is something that we find not all customers are doing yet. It's still quite new in the space of Amazon. So if you haven't got it, it might be the time to consider doing this for your brand. It definitely helps when it comes to conversion rates. We've seen it with multiple brands in different niches, so it's worth having a look at that. Now, next, you want to deep dive into your PPC analytics. So extensively go through your search and reports, check everything's in order, see, should I be using more negatives or should I be switching my PPC targets? You might be targeting specific keywords that maybe did good a couple of years ago, same as the SEO side, but aren't doing as good now. You might find you have a broad match campaign that's pulling a good performing keyword that hasn't been moved into a single keyword campaign. So look for these sort of high converting keywords that maybe you can move over, target as a single keyword campaign, or you can move these into segmented exact match campaigns and have a lot more control over the budget there. So either way, there's multiple things you can do in regards to the search and report data. Now, next, you want to make sure you have a good balance of sponsored products, sponsored display, and sponsored brand ad spend. So 70 to 80% on sponsored products is a good rule of thumb, as this helps with ranking. So make sure you're spending a good chunk of your budget on that. 10 to 20% and 10% for sponsored display and sponsored brands is pretty good as well. It depends on the ACOS. If you find it's doing pretty well, go ahead and increase the spend. But we find, depending on the product, some of these don't work as well. Sponsored brands is a bit better with the video section, so make sure that most of your spend is allocated properly, particularly for sponsored products. Now, for single keyword campaigns, these are particularly good, especially if you have very high converting keywords, maybe you haven't segmented properly. So if you haven't used these already, go ahead and give it a try. It's worth trying it, particularly in 2024, as most of the successful brands are using these, and your competitor might be using this as a way to dominate certain terms that you might be struggling to rank for. So worth also looking at. Next, consider using a software to help your PPC analysis. We find that Scale Insights is the best software, and this is why we use it. So if you do want to use it as well and get a free trial, click the link below, get a free 30-day free trial with a 10% lifetime discount by clicking that link. So we find it's very, very handy, particularly when auditing accounts and managing our clients' accounts on a daily basis. So it's worth checking out if you haven't already. Now, you want to set ambitious goals. So firstly, look at where do you want your business to be on the 1st of January 2025. So set those goals ambitious and figure out not only what you want in the next year, but how you're going to get there. So that would be how to plan to achieve these goals for revenue and how many products which you need to launch. If you want to double the sales of your brand, you can't just rely on the products themselves performing better. Only really if you're in a new launch stage, then you do have more potential. But if you are a mature product, you might see some growth in the year, but most of it you're going to have to do by launching products. So figure out how many products you need to launch, what are the best kind of niches to do this in, whether it be sticking with your brand and that niche itself or going for something in more high growth. So that's an option, as well as aim to build off Amazon channels. With the fees coming in place, if you have off Amazon channels, that keeps you a bit more diversification and keeps you more isolated from these changes. So it's worth having multiple ways to, have your business flourish these days. So make sure, don't overlook that. It's worth having a look at your off Amazon channels as well. Hopefully you found this useful, and hopefully it allows you to hit your goals for 2025. I know some of these things are more basic, but obviously it's important to be reminded sometimes, as certain things can get swept under the rug, and you don't want to be doing that, particularly in 2024, as competition's at an all-time high. PPC cost is also a lot higher than it was a couple of years ago, so you need to be on top of your game to get competitive in 2024. So if you do need help as well with your PPC, you can contact us below, KickstartPPC.com. Our link is in the description. We'll do an audit for your account and figure out how we can help you in any way. So if you need help, go ahead and click that below. And until the next video, hope you guys have a good one, and we'll see you soon. Bye.